Hi, John. Can you hear me?
Hi, Javier. This is John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, I've got you as well. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing good, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it looks like we are scheduled for an hour for parts and assemblies custom training today. So, would you like to tell me a little bit more about what you're looking to get out of today's training?
Sure. So I have been watching videos, um, and just to give you some background, I've
Huh?
used planswift for I don't know a good 6 years
Okay.
already. I switched companies about 2, 3 years ago, and we don't have it here. And so I said, hey, this is a great tool. I'd like to go and use it again. So I downloaded it, and I was fortunate enough to on my old company, someone did all the legwork,
Mm-hmm.
and they just showed me how to use it, right?
Okay.
And I played around with an assembly here or there, but the infrastructure had already been built, and so I was a recipient of that work from somebody else. So I downloaded it here, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have anything. And so I used some of your sample ones,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of feel like they were not tailored, or maybe they weren't tweaked enough to where they were usable. And I've been watching videos and trying different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working with, I think I got a small subset of things that I think might be working. And so I kind of just want to get your take on a few. One, to make sure that I'm not messing up somehow. And then two, there's a couple of things that I can't figure out that I would like for you to help me with.
Sure. Sure. I'll be happy to help you with that. Are you familiar with how to share your screen through Zoom?
Yes.
All right. If you could go ahead and share your plan Swift for me. All right, wonderful. I can see your screen.
Good. And so we have, right, you got your samples here, and then I wanted to show you. So these are my questions also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some of these, like I said, I think this one already I might have answered already. This I this is a semi answer because I don't think I'm using the right one.
Okay.
Um, uh, and then this I would like help on. Um, this I think I answered. Uh, this maybe not. This both these I think I might have it. Um, so some of these, like I said, I've been working all weekend. Um,
Okay.
I think I kind of figured some of those out, and hopefully our session's short enough to where I could afford another report session later on.
Okay.
Um, so on the reports, I know you guys have a specific report training for that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that reports same with this one, I guess. This I would like some help on. Um, and this I don't know if there's a way that you could scale the entire drawing set, or you have to do it
Uh-huh.
page by page.
Yeah, that one's an easy one. When you actually set it, it's actually you can apply to all pages.
Perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
so I can show you a quick way to do that real quick.
And I'm just making some mental notes. Okay, okay.
All right. So yeah, instead of using that drop down, you're actually going to use the top portion of the icon for the scale. And if you select that, you'll notice four tabs at the top. If you go to the
Mhm.
far right tab that says auto, that's going to provide you with the same drop down list so that you can still automatically scale your scale. But if you'll notice below that box in the pop up, it says apply scale to all pages.
There you go. Okay,
Yep.
wonderful. Okay, perfect,
All right. Super. So that's how you would do that.
perfect.
All right, let's go back up to the top of the list. I saw that second question said add tanks. Can you tell me a little bit more about that one?
Yes. So we do a lot of tank rehabs, um, both painting, sandblasting, and painting. And so in my old company, we literally had a drop down that said tanks,
Mm-hmm.
and we would run it down, and it would give us, our assembly. I have since created uh, this measurement that I called so exterior roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I do here, I'll put the width of the tank. So say my width
Mm-hmm.
is 58 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll drop down and say the tank is let's just say 30 feet. Oh, and so that should give me that should be the square footage. Um, and I think this math is right. Um,
Okay.
if I go here, this is what I came up with. But again, this is all me rigging stuff, and I'm afraid that it's not correct, or there might be a better way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. No, if that's what giving you that calculation, if that's giving you the correct answer, then there's nothing wrong with that. Is that how you would calculate it by hand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it would take your linear total. Um, Actually, it would take the takeoff, which is the linear total. Yep, exactly. So that would multiply it by the width, which was your 58, multiply it by 3.1 floor, and then add in the roof. And the roof is your width times 0.785. Okay, so yeah, that's giving you the correct answer to your calculation. The only thing I would suggest is if that's calculating in square feet, you have your unit showing as feet, linear feet.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting.
That would be my only suggestion. If the math is correct, then yeah, that works for you.
And that comes into play because some of the labor and material goes off of square feet and not feet, right? Well,
Right. Mm-hmm.
now, we used to have a tool, John, that it said cylinders, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if someone just created what I created, and I thought it was so cool, and then now I just did it myself. But is there a cylinder like sample tool here?
Okay. Not with the basic planswift, but I was looking at your account before training, and it does look like the drywall and painting starter pack is on there. Did you actually? Let me take a look. No, that must have been a trial that had already expired. So, no, there is not a cylindrical one on there, but we can certainly change the math if you've got the calculation in the formula. We can make one of them work for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would start out with a takeoff tool, and we would build that in the templates tab, of course.
Okay.
Yep, you're correct. So we would get a tool first. So we would go to the general takeoff tools.
Okay.
Now, I would think for a cylinder, would you want the volume of that?
Not the volume because we're doing the actual surface and we're not filling in with anything. So I know a lot of concrete guys that want the volume because they need the cubic yards or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We're not filling it in with anything. We're just doing what we can touch, right? So we're just doing the actual surface area.
The surface area. Okay.
Right.
All right. And what are you doing with the surface area? Are you
We're gonna sandblast it and we're gonna paint it.
sandblast it and paint it? Okay. And do you charge that by the square foot then?
Yes.
Okay. So square foot would be calculated with an area tool.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and grab one of those area tools. I would think the first one, the basic area, would do the job for us. So if you want to right click and copy on that.
Oh, that's right. I don't want to taint it.
Yep, we always want to make a copy, and then we can customize our copy.
And I'm going to make a tab here for you, John.
Okay.
That way I don't even, I want to keep this separate.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so let's double click on that basic area, and we'll of course need to change the calculation because it's going to bring in the square footage. So how do we, actually we would do that in the part itself. So go ahead and cancel out of that. We're okay with the basic area for now. So let's go to our parts. And let's see what kind of part we could use here. So basically we need a part that's just going to calculate price per square foot. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we could do, if the way I usually start it, we can start off with labor, since that's usually the first thing that I look at.
Okay, all right, not a problem. Let's go to the labor folder. We'll go into the area and we'll grab one that's price per square foot. That first one.
What's the difference between, oh, per hour square foot? Okay,
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. The per hour, you would have to have a production rate. So you would have to know how much your crew can do in an hour. So there's our labor that's going to work off of the square footage that you gather with the basic area tool.
And so we do know how much they can do per hour.
Okay, so do you want the one that is price per hour then?
I would rather do that. That way, if I think it's more difficult, I could shrink that or enlarge that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then go ahead and delete that one out. You can right click and delete it out of the assembly.
What would be the difference? So this, John, how does this computation work? Does it say, for example,
that's just, yeah, that's just going to be whatever you gather in square footage. It's going to pull that amount from the tool, and then it's going to take whatever you put in for the price per square foot and multiply that out. As opposed to the other one that's by hour, that's going to use a labor production rate. If you want to go back to the sample parts, I can show you that calculation. Sample parts, back to templates, there you go. And then double click on the one that's price per hour. We'll go to the advanced tab and you'll notice that labor production field that comes in. So to find out how anything is calculated, we look at the quantity formula field. So do you find that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically we're not going to have a pitch factor. We're not having a slope. So essentially we're taking our area measurement and dividing that by our production rate. So Our production rate is how many square feet that your crew can cover in an hour. Because if you look down at the labor production field, it says 1,000 by default, but if you follow that across, it's square foot per hour.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's how that calculation would work for you.
So if I go on my old ones, or the ones that I've been working on, hourly. So if I go on this one, and on my production, I have foot per hour, not square foot per hour.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, this is a linear tool also. If you look in the up in the name field, it says linear per foot, price per hour.
And how is that different? Does that doesn't work off does this not do a work off a quantity of the total square footage?
Well, actually, it looks like this formula has been modified. If you look in the quantity formula field, it's actually set to pull out the quantity from the parent item, divide by the labor production, which I'm looking at as 479.64, times the difficulty factor, which is not set right now, and then dividing by 100.
And I made that formula.
Right. So that's calculating a little bit differently on that one. But basically, if you put that with a linear tool, it will pull out the linear footage on there. But because you've changed that formula, it should work with pretty much any tool that you put it with, because it is pulling the quantity amount. But just keep in mind that it is pulling the quantity amount after you put in, that is after any waste or roundup or multiply that you would put in the tool.
Anyway, I have another big sheet that breaks.
And I'm sorry. So after,
right, the difference between the quantity formula and the quantity line is that the quantity formula gives us our raw calculation. And then the quantity line is what adds in our waste, our roundup, and our multiply factors to our final number to get that total output.
Okay,
so that's
correct.
what you're pulling in. You're pulling it in after that. And as long as you're okay with that, that's fine. If you wanted the raw data before waste and any roundup, you would pull from the quantity formula.
Oh, I see. So hold on, but this is pulling from here, right?
The quantity formula is set to pull from the quantity amount that the tool gathers. So whatever tool you partner this part with is going to pull a quantity amount, but that quantity amount will include any labor, or excuse me, any waste, roundup, or multiply that you would put in that tool.
I see. So it's pulling it off of this and not the same formula.
Right.
I see. But I could do it off the quantity formula, right?
You could, yes, and that would be the raw calculation for that information before waste and roundup and multiply.
And the way I would do that, I'm assuming I would go here.
Yep, and simply you don't even have to take that out. That's all right. If you want to hit cancel on that and cancel in the bottom right-hand corner and then not save your changes, it'll bring everything back. Double click on it. Then go back into advanced. And then all you have to do is after quantity, add in formula. So change that from quantity to quantity formula in your formula calculation.
Shit, I lost you, sir.
You're in the right place, right where your cursor is. Just move it on the other side of that square bracket. And where it says quantity, add in formula behind it. Space formula with a capital F.
Like that?
Exactly. That's all you would need to do to change it to the quantity formula, which gives you the raw data, as opposed to the quantity, which gives you after waste, roundup, and multiply.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I noticed a lot of these have like pitch and stuff that I don't use. So I just.
And if you don't use that, you can take that out. You can just delete all those references.
Okay. Okay, so we're back on this one, and then we have the labor per square footage, but we also we wanted the per hour one, right?
Per hour, okay. So we'll go back in and add that 1 per hour and delete out the 1 per square foot.
John, do you mind if I have them both just to see how they work? Just so I can.
Yeah.
Eventually, I want to keep on creating my own, and I want to have you on the phone while I see the difference between the two.
Okay. So now we need to get the actual part that's going to be your calculation on that, which is going to be the labor, actually. So all we're doing really is calculating the labor. Is that right on that? Or is there materials that you purchase as part of that sandblasting of the cylinder?
And so we could, for example, call this.
Exactly.
But then also, and I want to make it more realistic. I mean, it is realistic, but I want to make it just a visual for you.
Okay, and then you would have paint labor as well.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Yeah. So go ahead and yeah, you can go ahead and repaste those in.
Arg. And then materials.
Mm-hmm. So the materials would probably be your paint. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So we would go into paint in the area takeoff. And then do you want to calculate it by the gallon or by the square foot? Do you purchase it by the gallon or do you purchase it by the square foot?
By the gallon.
Okay. So that first one. All right. You want to double click on that paint. We'll update your information on it. So the first thing is number of coats. Does it get you? Yep. Okay. Material coverage on your paint. Do you know how many square foot you get out of a gallon?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And then any waste percentage you want to add in?
Okay.
And then do you want to put in like the average cost of what a gallon goes for? Okay. And did you want to mark that up? All right. Super. All right. What else do we need to add in as far as materials?
I would add a equipment actually.
Okay. What type of equipment?
And you know, with materials, I would like to add thinner, which it would be 10% or whatever gallons of paint we order.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a function for that, or I guess I could pull the amount from the paint and then times the 10%, right?
Correct. Uh-huh. And you would do that in the quantity formula line.
And I think on this one, rather than get per square foot, I should probably get a material that's per quantity.
Well, that's what that material coverage is calculating for you, is based on how much you can cover in for 1 gallon is how much it's going to calculate for you. So this is actually your thinner. So how far does thinner go? Do you know how many square feet you can get out of a gallon of it? First of all, is it sold in a gallon?
It is, but we usually do 10% or whatever gallons we get.
Of paint then?
Right.
Okay, that's easy enough. We can change that. If you want to go ahead and change the name, we'll go in and change the calculation at the same time. So if you want to change that to thinner.
Okay.
All right, go to the advanced tab. All right, let's unlock that quantity formula field. All right, so let's go ahead and delete all that out then.
Okay.
All right, so the first thing we're going to do is use the formula editor. Are you familiar with that?
Somewhat.
All right, yeah, that's exactly where it is. So the first thing we want to do is tell it to go look at the paint. So on the left side, we're going to choose our paint. And then we're going to have it point to the quantity formula to give us the raw calculation on that.
Okay.
Click OK. And then we're going to multiply that. And is it always 10%?
Pretty much.
Okay, there you go. So there is your calculation on your, but that's not going to give you your gallons. That's just going to give you how much you need.
Will this give me my gallons or no?
Oh, I'm sorry, it will. My apologies, because it's based on the gallons of paint. So yes, that is correct. Okay. So based on your paint coverage and how many gallons of paint that you're estimating, it's going to give you 10% of that. So yes, we are correct.
Okay.
So go ahead and click OK, and we've got that calculation in there.
Okay.
All right, super. What other materials do we need to add? You said equipment, actually.
Yes. Thank you for remembering that. So, okay.
So
And
if we use,
I had a question, John, and
Mhm.
I don't think that this is doable. But say, for example, we're doing a tank, and I'm just throwing numbers. A 10,000 square foot tank, we
Mhm.
would need a small compressor. We're doing a 40,000 tank, we would need a large compressor. Is there any way that the system can base the compressor based on the square footage, or you just have to manually do it?
Yes, we can do that. We can create a equipment part that would actually do that calculation.
Okay, I'm ready, sir.
All right, so let's see here. Let's just go ahead and grab that scaffolding that's under price per square foot. Yep, the top folder, it says rental equipment area takeoffs. Inside equipment. Yep, go ahead and, no, that one, there we go. Now I'll copy that over and then go ahead and paste it as a sub item and double click on it. We're going to start with the name. It's now a compressor for you, and it's not going to be price per square foot. Go ahead and go into the advanced formula, the advanced field, I should say. We're going to go to that quantity formula again and unlock that. So you want it to be able to calculate whether it is a small compressor or a large compressor.
Yes.
All right. And that is going to be based on the square footage of the tank.
Yes.
Okay, so we actually don't need to change the quantity formula. We just need to create, do you have the prices on those?
I do. So, and I don't know if maybe I could show you this. So on mine, I had here already. So maybe I could copy these and then we can mess with the formula on it?
Sure, we could try that, yeah. All right, so this is a small or a large compressor?
Large.
All right. All right, so we are wanting the price to change based off the size of the compressor, and that's going to change based off the square footage. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is write a statement in the cost each field. So if you could locate the cost each field and double click on that property to the left.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, did I do it right or no?
On cost each, that's what we need. And then do you see next to the name field, there's a checkbox that says expression?
Yes.
All right, we're going to select that, and then we're going to click OK. And it's going to give us an error message, and that's OK. And then we're going to hit the 3 dots and bring up that formula field so we can see all of it. All right, go ahead and take out the 4600. And the first thing we're going to type in is if space parentheses, open parentheses. That looks like a curve parentheses.
Oh.
That's a bracket. So shift 9. There we go. Now an open bracket. Quantity, QTY. Square bracket. Close the parentheses.
So with your start date and stuff and the duration is where they.
And then we're going to do a less than sign, which is going to be next to your M on your keyboard.
And duration, then it would forecast out.
And is it less than how many square feet?
Let's call it, and I'll mess with this later on, but let's call it 10,000 square feet.
All right, go ahead and put in 10,000. All right, put a space in. The word then, THEN.
Is this, does it matter if it's capitalized or not?
It shouldn't really be capitalized,
Okay.
but it might work with it being capitalized though.
And I don't know why I did it. Go ahead.
Okay, that's all right. Space result.
CRM software is probably the pipeline. It's structured on relationship management, but it can also be used for a lot of different things.
Not plural, take the S off the end.
Oh,
Yep. And then we're going to do a colon, which is right next to your L. It's shift and next to your L. There we go, equals. And then put in that cost for that small compressor. If it's less than 10,000, how much is that compressor?
Wow, this formula is a lot more complex than I imagined, but go ahead.
All right, go ahead and copy that.
Okay.
At the end of 1850, I want you to type the word else, E-L-S-E. Then hit return to go down to the second line, hit paste, and then change your less than to greater than.
Then you go through and going through the big thing here.
And then change your cost.
Extracting traffic control specs.
All right, let's click OK.
The coding part.
All right, we got rid of the error messages, so that's a good sign. So go ahead and click OK again.
But just doing the part of separating takes about an hour. How are you pulling it out?
Okay, let me ask you this, John.
Uh-huh.
So this is greater or less than 10,000.
Uh-huh.
So do we do a ladder like 10, 20, 30, 40? Or no?
Yeah, we would just need to add on additional line items, but I did notice in the quantity formula, it's pulling from the manual quantity. And on this one, we want to pull from the square footage, so we'll need to change that.
You're 100% right.
So you can actually just click inside those brackets.
Oh, did I do something wrong?
No, that's all right. Just put in a bracket. Area with a capital A, and then close the bracket. So that's going to pull down the square footage. So make sure we change the units to from each to square footage, and we're going to change it there in the and also in the quantity formula, the line below it. So we'll have to unlock that one also. All right, now we're in business. Now you were saying about the formula, you wanted to add on to it?
Do it a ladder, right? So do, if it's 10,000 is this, if it's 40,000 is this, and so forth.
Yeah, go right ahead. You can do the same thing. Just copy and paste and change out your results. Just make sure you put else at the end of that the second line. There we go. Now change out your parameters.
Like that?
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Sweet. Okay, great.
All right, I want to take that one for a test drive. So go ahead and click OK. And we're going to go back to the Home tab. And we're going to find that assembly. Actually, was that part of that assembly? Or did we do that on its own? I think we did. Oh, no, we added it. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I copied it.
Okay, so go ahead and run a quick box for us so we can get some data. Just do a basic area. So if you cancel out of that, that's now part of the assembly. Exactly. Right. So you turn it on from the right and now click OK.
You can do it with video. you don't have any more problems like that. That's why I got it.
This is big of you.
Like, I mean, it's
You
the
should
same.
change that to 24.
I'm not gonna say that.
All right, super. Let's go back to the estimating tab.
Yeah, with the-
And I'm gonna take
there's
my
certain
crap
ones
off.
that are
Let me
locked
take
you
my
can't
crap
do.
off. That way it's not bothering.
There's certain ones you can lock, or you can get into stuff that you wouldn't think you'd be able to.
John, another quick
Yeah.
thing, real quick.
Yes.
I noticed that this. See how when I click on this,
Mhm. Yep.
as soon as I click anywhere else, this goes away.
hmm
Is there any way? Is there any way this could just always be here?
You have to have that takeoff item activated in the left panel for that to show on the right side,
Okay.
because otherwise you're changing to the page. When you click off of it, you're changing from the takeoff to the page. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And if I want to put something here, do I just add it here? Or
To add a bookmark, yes. You could bookmark a page.
okay.
Let's go check out that labor part. Let's make sure that's calculating right for you.
It does help.
So let's go back to estimating. Okay, let's go ahead and open up that assembly. We had 1383 on that, so that is 1890 on the price, 30% markup.
Yeah, I love learning new stuff.
Looks like we're in business.
Yeah. So you look at see how he wrote that spec out to all the stuff that we want to see with it having to click. That's why, but it also could be a pain because you forget where what is. But inside of the.
So okay, so let's just if it's $100 a square foot, and then this is per hour. So the guys
What
do.
licenses
So the
do we
guys
have?
do
P33, do we have an A license and B? No, we just have
250, 300, and then the costage is 100. This is what I wanted to check.
Mhm.
So this is literally saying
And then you have an A.
this is more like when you say, oh, you know, when we do that type of work, we usually charge $3 a square foot. So this is not a this is just a function. This is literally taking. I mean, in all reality, for all this is just whatever you charge per square foot times the square foot. I mean, this is a very simple formula, right?
That one is, yes. That's exactly how that one works, yes.
Okay.
Whereas the other one will take that area and divide it by what you put in for your labor production.
Okay. This is a dumb one. I get what this is. Okay.
Okay, good.
And so in all reality, I mean, this is working out the area, but I
Mhm.
can make this working through the linear, through the quantity, which if I do it on a quantity, it'll work area, linear, whatever. It'll just work off the quantity, right?
Exactly.
Which is,
Which is
think-
what you had in there before, but we just
Yeah.
had the discussion about quantity versus quantity formula with the
Yeah.
raw data versus your any.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think that's better, John? Just to do it off of like the total, I guess, for my usage?
You know, really, at the end of the day, it's whatever works best for you and gives you the most ergonomic workflow. Whatever's going to make your life easier.
Okay.
So we can change these calculations. These aren't set in stone, and you've got the idea down that it's all driven off that quantity formula field. So if you can go with formulas, you can make anything work.
I guess and so okay. We got the equipment done,
Mhm.
the paint. I'm gonna figure what I do with the paint and see. I think I might have something that kind of. So on the paint,
Mhm.
I did this.
Okay.
So I did it by the volume solids because depending on how much the paint evaporates, you lose some of that.
Okay.
And then I did the thickness because you waste more. Obviously, the thicker you apply it.
Right.
And so my formula looks 1,604 square feet is what you would get at a 1 mil thickness. So I took that over the linear total, but in all reality, I mean, in this case, if I use this formula on an area foot, it won't work, right?
This should work. I see you're getting error messages, but I think it's just a matter of putting in parentheses.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say put 2 parentheses in the beginning in front of 1604.
Okay.
And then put another closed parentheses after linear totals bracket. Put another one at the end of number of coats bracket. Now click off of there. And let's see if that error message is still there.
Should I do a third one and then close it off at the end?
Yeah, go ahead and try that.
Right.
Nope, it still doesn't like that.
Hmm. No, I'm just reaching. Sorry.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes. So that's why I'm letting you do this, because
So if I do the linear total, so let's see. Maybe I take it back to basics. Okay. So we're gonna do the linear total. Well, let's do this. So we're working off. Oh, this is gonna be odd because it's trying to look for something, right?
right. So yeah, we would add this to a tool and create it as part of an assembly. So we could attach it to that tool to pull that quantity amount.
Okay, great segue. So when I build these parts, it's probably best if I build them as assemblies, right, and not just as separate parts. Because they're gonna need that parent calculation to work off of, right?
Right, because it can't do anything by itself as a part. You can't do the takeoff without a tool. You can't run the calculation without a tool. It doesn't do you any good as just a part until you add it to a tool.
100%. Okay. I know exactly. So let's see. I did have assemblies. Okay. So like in here, this I can use.
Yep.
So then.
Your internet login, your credit card payment is different, but your
so
well, everything that'll all be on based on your login, it'll reset all this. So every 6 months.
So if we just take this for example. So this is working off the linear total. But again, if I just take this off, and if I go into quantitative formula, really, who cares how I got to it? Whether, oh shit, wrong.
But yeah, we on the internet here.
Here, I can give you the path. Yeah. Actually, backspace for me. Do ... period, backslash, which is under backspace, quantity, capital Q, formula with a capital F.
Yeah, space or no space?
Yes, a space, sorry. And then close that square bracket.
I'm gonna copy this real quick, John.
Okay.
Okay. So that, regardless whether I came through it, and the reason why I'm afraid of doing it by area or linear foot, because I do it all kinds of different ways, you know?
Right.
And I don't want to be telling it every single time. Well, don't do it. Do this. Just get the square footage and figure it out. That's
so in theory, that should work, but I think we should test it. We know it works with linear, obviously. So let's go ahead and copy that part.
And drop it on drywall? All right.
Let's run it how you would run it. Go ahead and just paste it at the bottom as a line item by itself. Okay, that works. Use the arrow key in the, yeah, it's not gonna let you drag it there. Yeah, use the adjust and move it to the left once to remove it from that assembly, and then use the down arrow to move it all the way to the bottom so we know where it is.
Sweet.
All right, let's go back to the home tab. Excuse me. Now go ahead and run a basic tool. You can choose it from the toolbar or from the drop down. All right, let's go to the estimating tab, or yeah, you can drag it there as well. Both places work.
So they should work?
Let's go. Yeah, it's not calculating. Shoot. Double click on.
On which one, John? This one at the bottom or this one at the top? This one. Right?
At the bottom, yes. Let's go to advanced. It's calculating 0. Do me a favor, double click on the quantity formula field where the name is. And I'm going to show you a little trick all the way to the left. Yeah, double click. In the drop down, it calculates as a number, but to see what numbers it's calculating, we're actually going to temporarily change the type from a number to a text field. So if you hit that drop down in the second field down, it currently says type number.
Why am I not seeing that?
Second one down from the very top. Yep, we want to change that to a text temporarily and go ahead and click OK. And our problem is it's not pulling anything in on our formula. So the quantity formula is what's actually incorrect. So let's do this. Click in that field and see if you can highlight everything from the multiply through material coverage. See if you can highlight all of that. Now cut it with your Control X on your keyboard. And now take that all out. Let's redo our formula from here. Quantity is fine. In this case, it's just calculating the quantity amount, so that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to put in a multiply sign and then paste what you just took out. Click OK, and now we've got numbers in there.
What in the hell? Is it because we did it through the formula?
I think so, yes. I think that was the difference.
Well. That's interesting too.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so hold on. Give me a second. Real quick.
That's why I like to test stuff out to make sure it works.
Sorry, John, just mental notes so I don't forget.
No problem. I get that.
Okay, sweet. Okay, that is nice. Okay.
All right. Glad we got that one figured out for you.
Good.
So if you have to redo that anyway, you can use that original part and just drag it over onto an area, a linear account, and then just change your formula based on the tool that you drag it onto.
Well, why don't we do that then? Why don't we put that to the test? So let's do linear.
Yeah.
Okay. So I should be able to, but then I never switched this one, right? Okay, okay, okay. So then I would take this. Nope, because that belongs to something. But
Mhm.
I could do this.
Mhm. Oh, you can actually go back and do the same thing in the estimating tab and put it directly on that linear tool. If you click on linear and paste as a sub item, it will add, nope, don't digitize the points.
Always?
No, do not. Yep, click no.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. Now hit the plus sign and now we have a calculation. Strange.
So
Yeah.
this works for everything. Okay, sweet, 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 sweet. Okay. Great. Okay.
All right.
So I think I was on a pretty good path on this one. I think on mine. Other than that, I had to. I think I need to work on the. I need to work on my syntax more than
Mhm.
anything.
Right. I think that just needs quotation marks in the right places. My other suggestion is, what is that 1604? What does that represent?
You know, I noticed the spaces right here, John, and I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
Okay.
The so 1604. So whenever you take a gallon of anything,
Mm-hmm.
and if you spread it 1 mil thickness, which everything in paint is in mils. If you spread 1 gallon in 1 mil thickness, it should give you 1,604 square feet. And
Okay.
so, say for example, 1604, I want 1 mil. So now if you want 2 mils, well then it would only be 8,302. You know, and then so out of the 832, 800, what is it? 18, no, 18,
So that coverage amount changes.
yes.
So let's make that a variable for you. And perhaps that will fix our formula problem as well. So let's go up to the upper left-hand corner of the pop-up window and hit that green plus sign. And this is going to be your coverage rate.
The thing is though, so because we handle so many different types of paint,
Okay.
I don't always know how much coverage it will yield. So I'm kind of making I'm trying to make it. So this is what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So I'll show you something real quick here. And this is just an example, but it'll serve. So this is zinc. So this is what I get usually on a project, right? I don't really get coverage or anything, but it'll say we want to do it. We want to use this on the spec. It'll say we want to use this Javier. All right, cool. And so I get the data sheet. So this one's 62% solids. So what I'm trying to accomplish here, I'm trying to say, okay, Javier, we're gonna use this thing. Okay, that one's 62% solids. Okay, it needs to go 4 mil thick. Okay, how much do I need? That's what I'm trying to do.
And you've got that down. I don't think that is the problem with the formula. I think the problem with the formula is your hard-coded 1604 that's in there. I think that planswift doesn't like that in front of the linear total.
Oh,
So
I see. I see. Oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Go ahead, sir. I'm listening again.
So 1604, does that change like multiple times, or is that pretty consistent?
No, it's pretty consistent, and I think
Okay.
I'm following.
Yeah, so in the right side there, you can create a drop-down list of coverage for gallons. So go ahead and double-click where it says coverage per gallon again. And in the right box, you can create a drop-down list by making a vertical list of your coverage rates. I know 1604 is one of them, and I think you said 58 something.
And we could do 1604, and I could always go on and.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So let's get this formula to work. All right, so now what we want to do is go up into your formula and replace 1604 by coverage per gallon in brackets. It will put it at the end. But yes, you can copy and paste it or cut it and paste it. Exactly. All right, super.
Well,
yes, and that
well,
takes
well.
care of our error right there.
That is insane. So I guess it likes it for you to go through the motions on the software.
Right,
You have to. You have to.
exactly.
Let me do another note because that's very important.
So this is like a month-end thing. Here's 2301, this is the job details. So P66, but 216 pages long. But this is, I mean, the file that this is the billing percentages, which is auto generated by
Perfect, okay.
hour.
All right, so we're getting low on time. So what else is highest on your priority list of questions?
Yes.
Then you get in, it's so detailed because of the TOs they're writing.
It went by so quick.
It does.
Single line items, you have to
No, I mean, that was real good. That was actually real good. On the costs, on the costs that are associated, so like on labor,
You can go through and you can find all that. Over time, all that was put in.
on the labor, as far as overhead that we put on things and overhead, would that just be markup? Is that overhead?
You can include that in the markup field. However, you were talking about doing a reports training. Save
Yes.
that question for the reports training, and there is a way that you can put on an overall job markup or an overall job overhead in your report section. So he can show you how to do that, and that way you can make a decision on which way works best for you.
Otherwise, if we just stick to this one, it would just be markup, right?
Correct. And that's the simplest way to do it. But yes, there are other ways to do it. It would just be covered in that reports training.
Sweet. I have one more, I only have one more free hour left on the training, right, John?
Let me double check. That might be right.
Man, this hour went by way quicker than I thought.
Yes, that's correct. You'll have an hour left, but you do always have the ability to purchase training hours from Morgan. I'm not sure those prices or the packages that are available, so she would be able to help you out with that.
But I mean, I think I got a pretty good handle. I think I just need to do a lot of work, but I think I understand the idea of the formulas.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've got a great handle on it. So yeah, you absolutely can do a lot now. So
Okay, awesome. Thank you,
all
John.
right, I will go ahead and enter our time in. It will actually generate an email out to you that will have the remaining training hours left on your account with the link to reschedule. That link doesn't expire. So if you want to schedule it right away, you can do that, or you can hold on till you get some more questions. And would you also like a link to the copy of our recording for today?
Yeah, let's do it. Send that to me, please.
Okay, that link actually is only good for 3 weeks, but if you go to that link and download the file, you can keep it indefinitely.
I will do that.
All right, super. Well, it was great meeting you, Javier, and hopefully we'll cross paths again soon.
Likewise. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too, sir.
Bye now.